And you're listening to the Fatboy Show on your number one station, RX Radio. How you doing today? Fatboy here, hoping you're doing great as we start this brand new week. It is the 30th of January, and good news for parents who have been sweating, wondering where they're going to raise money to pay the school fees, given that many schools have been hiking up the fees. Now, this is something that we've covered extensively in the past couple of weeks, especially last week when things were really getting heated up. We mentioned that the Ministry of Education had put out a guidance advising schools to not increase school fees, and it turns out that many schools decided to act in defiance of that directive. And so the Ministry of Education went to the cabinet and said, please, can you make it so that there is a statutory mechanism through which we can enforce the non-hiking of school fees? And so as of last week, we were waiting for the cabinet to give its position on that, which now they have. The government has directed all schools to not hike school fees ahead of the new school term, emphasizing that all schools must maintain the fee structure for the third term of 2022 as we await further guidance on the matter, says the government in their directive. So, Olive, how do you feel about this?
I feel happy, but the question is, will the schools adhere to the directive?
Well, because before we were waiting for the cabinet to state its position on the matter.
Yes.
And now that the directive has come from the cabinet, is this now legally, statutorily enforceable?
It isn't.
It's not?
It isn't.
That's what I thought.
It isn't, because if I may quote the Minister of Education and Sports and also the First Lady, she said, "It is my prayer, therefore, that our government-aided and private schools will adhere to our guidance as we seek a fair and lasting solution to this matter."
As we seek a fair and lasting solution.
So they're suggesting, we are not telling you to decrease the fees, because remember last week we talked about the directive, the move by the government to decrease the fees actually. But now the Education Ministry is saying, don't decrease the fees, but do not increase as well. Maintain what you charged last year in third term.
Yeah, so when I just look at the statement from the Minister of Education and the First Lady, she says that we are not blind to the plight of parents and guardians as they grapple with the exorbitant school fees and charges in our schools. And now government is asking for school authorities to be considerate. So it almost seems like it's still essentially a kind of a guidance from the cabinet. Even this, we have not escalated beyond just being guidance.
Exactly. On one hand, she's saying this is a directive, but then when you continue to read what she said, she basically is begging these schools, just the way her husband was doing during COVID with financial institutions.
So in other words, hey, I'm sorry.
We are still where we started.
I got excited for nothing in the beginning.
No reason.
Looks like ain't nothing changed.
There is nothing that has changed. So that's why I'm like, I'm not sure that schools will adhere, because in the past, the government has given such directives and the school owners have said, you know what, we cannot do what you're asking us to do because we have each and A, B, C, D costs.
Okay. Well, I guess that's not good.
Yeah.
And so schools are probably going to once again not adhere to this guidance and will continue to hike the fees. So, what is it going to take? A miracle, an act of God, or what?
An act of God. And things, of course, are not going to get easier for parents whose kids are joining secondary school now, because on Friday, the Minister of Education still, together with UNEB, released the P7 exams. Exam results for 2022. So
let's move to that now. Are they looking any different now from how they looked in the previous year in terms of the outcomes?
Oh, yes. This year, boys beat girls.
Yeah,
that makes you happy.
Boy-child movement.
So it happens that girls did so well in English, but then their counterparts, the male ones, did much better in science, in mathematics, and even social studies.
You know, girls have been whipping boys
for years
in PLE, and for a while there, we were worried about the boy child. They were being left behind. But it looks like now people are also not forgetting the boy child.
But no one forgot the boy child, really, in education, especially because these kids sit in the same classes, have the same teachers. So the boys were just being lazy.
Okay. Now, of course, If someone were to say, so what's the preferred outcome? Should it be 50-50 at all times?
For me,
in terms of performance?
No, actually, for me, it is let the best man win. If boys did well, fine. If girls did well, it's okay.
It doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Because the approach has always been, if girls are lagging behind, then as a society we should step in to prop up the girls and to support the girls. And for the longest time, as boys seem to be falling behind, there was no such similar outcry or desire to lift up the boys. So it looks like we just sort of left it to, the situation as it was, and somehow the boys just found a way to to improve their circumstances.
No, there was a point when boys were faring so well, but it had other underlying issues. Girls were joining schools later. Girls were not going to school in some cases. So by the time they start school, the boys have an edge over them. But if the kids have started school at the same time and have been in school for the same period of time, then let them compete. Can I say compete competitively? Study competitively and sit these exams, and whoever wins, they're the best.
Wow. You can see that education is a very high priority topic in this country.
And in this room.
And in this room, it is what determines the future of the next generation. So,
yeah.
Which is why we invest a lot of time in discussing these issues, because it's of pertinence to the country's future.